iRacing continues to dominate the motorsports conversation, and today we're actually going to hear from one of the top NASCAR Pro Invitational Series competitors. Should be a fun episode, y'all. How's it going, everyone? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. Yes, I am once again in a new setup. This is a work in progress, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I got Matt's head cut off. Oh, that's a little morbid. Yeah, still moving a lot of things around. So this is a work in progress, but we have a very full show today. Garrett Smithley, NASCAR Cup Series driver, who's been one of the top competitors in the Pro Invitational Series so far. He'll be joining me later in this episode, but before I get to that, I do want to cover a couple brief topics. All this has an iRacing flair to it, a theme, if you will. Firstly, after a bit of back and forth, it sounds like there will not be any NASCAR Pro Invitational Series races this weekend. It is Easter weekend, and traditionally NASCAR, the Cup Series at least, takes this Sunday off. So after some back and forth, it sounds like for a while there NASCAR was considering running maybe Daytona during this weekend, doing a little exhibition race at Daytona on the iRacing platform. Sounds like those talks have for the most part been tabled, and this weekend will now be an off weekend for the iRacing series. Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal was all over that one. And then another kind of random bit of news that sort of made the rounds on social media yesterday. Jim Utter initially reported that the NASCAR Euro Series is going to be taking the points that drivers earn from iRacing events and actually counting them towards the real life season standings. At least that's the plan. Now, the NASCAR Euro Series is not governed by the same people that run NASCAR here in America, so don't start pointing fingers at the Steves or at Jim France or anybody like that. I don't think they have much to do with this, if this actually is what the NASCAR Euro Series is planning, but it did create a bit of a debate, a pretty one-sided debate from what I could see on Twitter, where people were debating, should virtual races count towards real life standings? And the consensus that I could gather for the most part was that no, virtual races should not count for real life points, and I 100% agree. As realistic as iRacing is, and as fun as the last few weeks have been to watch, to see all the different drivers competing and driving, and different names up at the front than we're typically used to, it's not the same as real racing. And to bridge that gap so closely would be a huge mistake if the main NASCAR did that. So rest assured, I don't think the main NASCAR here in the United States is considering this in the slightest, but in the Euro Series it sounds like it's on the table, and that's pretty interesting. It sounds like most drivers even that have chimed in agree that it's a pretty silly decision if that is indeed what happens. I mean, what if your internet just cuts out? That happens pretty common. It happens to me all the time. Lord, I know. I mean, this last week Eric Jones ran like one lap in the race because I think his computer crashed or something like that. Like, okay, it's the same as an engine failure, but it's not. It's not, guys. Come on. We can't have virtual races counting for real world points. No. You can't do that. That's not gonna work. Anyway, last thing I briefly want to touch on, the NBCSN Short Track Challenge is in full swing now. Last night, 6 drivers, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Parker Kligerman, and Austin Dillon raced 2 little heat races around Rockingham, the virtual Rockingham Speedway. Pretty cool to see The Rock back to some extent. William Byron won both races, so he locks himself into the Thursday night championship race at Martinsville. Kyle Busch got the Steve Letarte God Provisional. I don't know, kind of a weird format over there, but so those 2 drivers locked themselves into the championship race at Martinsville later this week. Tonight is the second race of the Short Track Challenge on NBCSN, and I don't know who the 6 drivers are. I don't know the exact lineup off the top of my head, but the race will be at Myrtle Beach Speedway, I believe. So tune into that. I'll probably be watching. I watched last night's race, and it was entertaining. One thing that NBCSN, those of you who watched will know what I'm talking about, but NBCSN, the one thing they did very differently than what Fox has been doing with the Pro Invitational and all their different events, is that NBCSN actually played live real-time driver audio back and forth. So the 6 drivers in this case last night, like Bubba, Kyle Busch, Byron, all them, were in a chat room together. Like we're in like a Discord server or something like that. I don't know what they actually use, but they're in something like that together, and NBCSN actually played the live audio over the broadcast. So you heard them trash talking, you heard them kind of giving each other grief. It was incredible to watch. It was great television. It was one of the most candid looks into these drivers' personalities that I've ever seen. So I commend NBCSN a lot for implementing that into their live broadcast. I think it would be cool if Fox was able to do something similar during the Pro Invitational races. Obviously there you have 30-some drivers in the field, but you know, listening into a few drivers here and there would be really cool if they had the capabilities to do so. NBCSN showed that that is possible. So I really like that. Overall, I actually thought the NBCSN broadcast was worse than the Cup Series or the FS1 broadcast. broadcasts have been, but that one element was pretty cool to see. I don't know what the ratings look like for the short track challenge. The Pro Invitational once again was in the millions. Almost forgot to mention that, but yeah, FS1 and Fox ratings for this weekend's race were a little bit down from the Texas race, but still way up from Homestead. Ratings this week, 0.71 and an estimated 1.179 million viewers, so definitely off by almost 200,000 viewers from what Texas saw the week before. But hey, you know, virtual world imitates real life. The short tracks always get worse ratings than the intermediates for some reason. But anyway, yeah, the Bristol race, like I talked about in my video a couple days ago, was probably the least entertaining of the three we've seen. It was sloppy, there was a lot of wrecks. Not unexpected, of course, but it still wasn't very fun to watch. So it doesn't shock me that this one had a little bit lower ratings. Hopefully, when we come back here in 2 weeks for Richmond, hopefully those ratings continue to trend back upwards again. But there you have it. Those are the news. Now, without further ado, I had the great pleasure of speaking with Garrett Smithley this morning. So now, let's go to that interview with NASCAR Cup Series driver and iRacing veteran, Garrett Smithley. Enjoy, y'all. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Eric here. Today, I am joined by NASCAR Cup Series driver Garrett Smithley. Thank you for coming on, man. How's it going?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm happy to be here. Been a crazy couple weeks, but we're making the best of it.
Definitely. The Pro Invitational is in full swing right now, and I was looking at the numbers. Fifth, correct me if I'm wrong, fifth at Homestead, third at Texas, I think it was ninth at Bristol. You've probably been the most consistent finisher in this Pro Invitational so far. How do you feel about your performance? Because I know you're an iRacing guy. I'll bet you take this very seriously.
Yeah, no, I do, and you know, when this whole thing started, I didn't know if it was going to be one race. I didn't know if it was going to be two races. Obviously, you know, we're focused on trying to get back to the real track, but when they said that it was going to be on Fox Sports 1 for the first one, I was like, man, this could be pretty big. And then now it's kind of expanded, so it's been cool. I think the most surprising thing for me is winning the pole for that first one, because I'm not a qualifier whatsoever, and there was a lot of big heavy hitters in that race, and just been cool to run up front like that. We've been getting a lot of support, a lot of you know, real world sponsors are getting involved now, and you know, my car owner Rick Ware, he's texting me every week, you know, hey, you testing, hey, you doing this, because he's getting into it as well, and he was getting nervous about it. I was like, hey man, like if I wreck, you don't gotta pay for it, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm sure the team owners love it. I want to ask a little bit about how the Pro Invitational kind of got started. Do you know, was it more NASCAR coming to the drivers and the teams, or was it Fox that kind of drove it? What do you know about how this whole thing got started?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of a combination. Whoa, my doorbell's going off. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think it's kind of been a combination of, you know, a lot of different people kind of coming on board, iRacing, Fox, and NASCAR, and then kind of them reaching out to the drivers. I actually reached out to NASCAR on Saturday when I found out, or it was Friday or Saturday before Atlanta, and said, hey, if we can put together some type of something for our fans, that's, you know, we owe it to them to kind of put together something. And they emailed me back immediately and said, hey, we're already working on something. You know, give us you know, some time. But you know, it's been cool because I've been involved in iRacing since 2009. And it's so cool to see how much it's grown. I've used the service to learn specifically road course tracks. It doesn't give you the seat of your pants feel, but it definitely gives you a good visual, and it's as close to the real thing as you're gonna get. So it's been cool to see everything kind of come together.
Yeah, and ratings for this on TV have been pretty crazy. I know this week's race, again, over 1 million viewers on Fox and
Yep.
FS1. Have the races done kind of or gone about how you hoped they would go?
Yeah, I think so. As far as the competition side, I mean, you know, we led laps at Homestead, and we finished top 5 in the first 2 races, top 10 in the second race. Bristol went just about as what I expected, just kind of short track racing. Bristol is one of the hardest tracks on iRacing to get, and you know, just kind of the proximity, a lot of the different kind of things that you have to learn on iRacing that are a little bit different than the real life stuff. Some of the guys are getting it, you know, pretty good. Some of the guys are still struggling with it, but it's really cool to see guys like Kyle Busch and somebody like, well, I would say Clint before last week, but Clint was kind of all over the place last week. But it's just cool to see those guys take it seriously and you know, still be competitive, and you know, we're all competitors. It's in our DNA, but still have fun too. I think it's a good balance of that, and I think that's why people tune in.
Definitely. I felt like the competition kind of took an extra step forward last week. A lot of guys really got into it at Bristol, which Bristol will do that to you. You kind of started to answer my next question a little bit there, but what driver do you think has improved the most just during these first few weeks?
I think you have to say Kyle Busch. I mean, he went from a complete rookie on iRacing to now. I mean, he was quicker than us in the heat race. I think a lot of that has to do with his success at Real Life Bristol. That's just one of the places that he really excels at. It's probably one of the more realistic places. Obviously, we don't have the PJ1 down like we have in real life, but before we started doing that, running up high, I mean, you see the same exact line. You can't really pass on the bottom, so I think somebody like him has really improved. Clint did a really good job at Texas last week. Texas is another one of those tracks that you run the same exact line as you do in real life. So I think there's a handful of guys that have really, really taken to it. John Hunter Nemechek, I don't know his experience on iRacing, but he's been really, really solid.
Yeah.
Him, Ryan Preece, and then guys like myself, Timmy Hill, Landon Castle, who've been on the service for a while, kind of excelling too. So Park Clearman's another one that's kind of in that realm of guys that have been iRacing for a long time. So it's cool to see the different dynamic, and it's cool to see these guys practice and kind of take it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, I was gonna say because Kyle Busch seems he's gone all in on this thing. He was running the dirt, the World of Outlaws stuff last week. I don't know if he's doing it again this week, but he's been anything with iRacing on the label. He's jumped all in on it. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
I was just in a street stock race with him last night. We were
Wow.
doing some practice, and it was a practice race for our league that we run on Tuesday nights with the spotters. Kevin Hamlin and TJ Majors kind of put it together, the replacement series. But yeah, he's kind of all in on it, and I think he's having fun with it.
Yeah, it seems like it. So I want to ask you, since you're a big iRacing guy, during the regular NASCAR season, like I know everyone wants to get back to the racetrack, but during a normal season, how often are you on iRacing practicing or testing or doing stuff?
Yeah, I actually don't run as much as people think. During the regular season, it's so back to back, bam, 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 every single weekend. My schedule is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm doing sponsorship stuff, whether it's just kind of following up from the previous week from sponsors, or trying to find new sponsors for the next week. And then obviously Thursday or Friday we're traveling, and then we're at the racetrack. And then now in the Cup Series, it was before Sundays were my day off. Now that I'm in the Cup Series, I don't really have a day off, which is completely fine. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. But I definitely try to at least spend at least an hour before each of these races. I watch film, and then I go to the racetrack, and then run just a couple laps just to kind of get my visual bearings. I do some hot pit roads just to kind of practice getting on pit roads, especially a place like Dover. There's a couple places like Homestead that are really difficult to get on pit roads, so that definitely helps. And then if we're going to a road course, I'll do laps and laps and laps on road courses, just because I don't have a whole lot of experience. So while it doesn't give you the seat of your pants feel, it definitely gives you a good visual. And then for those that understand iRacing and know iRacing, all these tracks are laser scanned, so they map all the bumps. You feel everything that you feel in the real car, with the exception of the seat of your pants feel. You kind of feel it with this wheel, the force feedback. So definitely use it as a tool, but nothing beats the real thing.
Talking a little bit more about last weekend's race, you had a little run-in with Dale Jr., and I thought it was really funny hearing afterwards on like Radioactive some of the colorful language. I thought it was funny. You said that wrecking Jr. is not a good PR move. I think most people would probably agree with you there. How'd that situation play out?
Yeah, so our race was kind of up and down. We got messed up in the heat race, and started deep in the field, then got wrecked on the second lap, and just clawed our way back up. We were running third, then got tangled up a little bit with John Hunter and Chris Buescher. That put us back. Then we finally got back up into the top 10, and I was just kind of riding behind Junior. And I just overcooked it a little bit off into one of the turns and spun him out. I think had it been real life, it wouldn't have been as egregious as it looked. But just the way everything worked out, he ended up getting the raw end of the deal on that, and I apologized. he told me to eat a turd, which has kind of blown up in something here with the radioactive stuff. But no, it's all good. It's all in good fun. It shows that we do take this seriously. But you know, he said, hey, we're all good now, and just kind of had fun with it. So it's kind of one of those things. It's Bristol. It's short track racing. It's just one of those things. And you know, luckily it wasn't real life, or I might have gotten a butt whooping. Who knows?
You'd had an army of fans leaving the track, perhaps. That would have been all over. No, yeah.
That's true.
So are all the drivers for these races, are they all in like a large group chat, or is it just a few drivers here and there?
Yeah, so we do have a group chat on GroupMe that kind of put together by Denny and iRacing. That's kind of where all the information goes. They'll send us emails as well. So I think NASCAR coordinates with iRacing and Fox, and then iRacing reaches out to us to kind of coordinate all these. They've done a really good job doing practice races and doing a few different races, you know, moving forward. So it's been it's been cool to see it grow. It's been cool to see these guys, you know, like I said, start to take it a little bit more seriously. And we're on TV. We're putting on a good show for the fans. I think the biggest thing is just giving an escape to all of our race fans and all the people in the industry, and even people that, you know, aren't big race fans. Just something to kind of get our minds off of what's going on for you know, what's been going on in the past couple weeks, and kind of giving them hope that, hey, we're gonna get through this. We're you know, we're all in this together, and at some point, hopefully very soon, we're going to get back to normalcy. And like I said, even if it's just for a couple hours on Sundays to kind of get away from it, it's a nice escape for all of us.
Yeah, we for sure don't know how much longer this is going to last. But last question for you is, looking ahead, what tracks, I guess it sounds like they may or may not do anything this weekend, but Richmond for sure the weekend after. What tracks are you most looking forward to running in the Pro Invitational?
Yeah, I wish there was some more mile and a half, because I really excel at mile and a half. Hopefully we get back going before Charlotte, real life Charlotte comes around. But if not, definitely looking forward to getting there. Dover's a good track. I think all these tracks are very different. You know, Richmond's you know, a different type of short track than Bristol. We go to Talladega, which is going to be nuts, and then Dover, like I said. So 3 really different tracks, but honestly, I think you know, Bristol and Homestead were 2 very difficult tracks for me on iRacing, and I've done well there. So hopefully we can kind of maintain that and hopefully get a win. That's the number one goal.
Definitely. Well, best of luck. I appreciate you taking the time to come on, Garrett. Yeah, good luck with the remainder of this season, both virtually and real life, however that works out.
Thanks, Eric. Hopefully we can meet up soon at the real track one of these days.
For sure. So there you have it. Big thank you again to Garrett for coming on the show and spending his time chatting with us over here. Hope you all enjoyed that. I know I definitely did. But that's all I've got for today's episode. Thank you all a ton for watching. Subscribe if you are new. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. All that great stuff. And of course, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. I couldn't keep doing this show without the support I get from each and every single one of you on Patreon. So if you also want to help support me, support the channel, support the show, check out that top link down in the description. I greatly appreciate it, y'all. Big things are in the works. I have been very busy the last few days, couple weeks, trying to put some things together. We've had a lot of drivers, a lot of different guests on the show in recent weeks, so a lot of exciting things are in the works. Trying to give you guys as many different types of videos, as much different type of content as I possibly can during this lengthy hiatus. Hopefully we're back racing soon, but in the meantime, I'll continue to do the best I can to deliver engaging, interesting, and unique NASCAR related content for you guys. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you again very soon. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everybody.